All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This is Matt Motto from Dissona, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
This is 70,000 Tons of Metal, the original, the world's biggest heavy metal cruise. 60 bands, 4 days, 1 cruise ship, only 3,000 tickets. It's like having an all-access backstage pass. January 29th to February 2nd, 2026. From Miami, Florida to Nassau, the Bahamas, and back. Go to 70,000tons.com and book now.
Quick. I have forgotten in the past to do that, and then it's a nightmare.
It's like the meeting never happened.
It just like it never happened, right? And then press people are like, "Hey, where is it?" Can't get out of that one. Where are you guys located geographically? While I'm pulling everything up,
We're in Chicago, Illinois.
and I know I've been asking people all day today because I'm just curious. Is it cold there as we speak, or is it?
It's kind of nice, actually. It's like floating around low 70s, mid 60s. So this is like primo fall weather.
I wore shorts here, so
Yeah.
Nice. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and it's in the like high 40s, low 50s, and rainy as shit. Yeah, it's not pleasant right at the moment, but
winter is coming.
You guys get
yeah, it is.
like
I'm
early.
a fan of the hotter weather, so I'm ready to hibernate.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the record. Let's talk about the record. Receptor's been out for what, about 2 weeks, maybe?
Just about now, yeah.
Now that it's out, what's been the response to it so far, and how do you guys feel about the outcome?
Well, critically, the response has been very positive. A lot of the review scores, we haven't seen anything below like an 80%. Everyone's got their own little, rating system and whatever. But yeah, it seems like everyone who's taken the time to actually write a review has had nothing but very, very nice things to say.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah, well spoken. Actually, these people actually took the time to listen, because this is the type of music that really calls for like a detailed, focused listen. One guy actually said, like, I had this on in the background, and then I actually went and stopped it because I wanted to, actually listen to it. So that's kind of, what we would hope for. So
They noticed a lot more crossover stuff than I would anticipate. Like, with a lot of the stuff being in metal communities, I would think they'd respond more to that. And there was a big response to the stuff that was more world music related.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I think I could see that though, because there's been an uptick in sort of world music metal bands, or sort of that folky crossover thing that I think really works. I find myself being sucked into it as well. It just adds another dimension to the headbanging, I think.
That's absolutely what it is, yeah.
So don't take this the wrong way, because it's not meant to. All right. I am normally not a prog metal fan at all, or anything prog. And let me give you the reason. The reason is because I think 90% of the time, maybe it's more in my eyes, it ends up being more like a fretboard masturbation, and look how many notes I can cram into, this 4 meters or whatever, 4 measures, and not like playing for the song. And because I think there is beauty in restraint and talent in restraint, and knowing when to not put this in or when to do that, right?
Absolutely.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
We don't want to ever talk bad about any specific band out there ever, but the thing I've noticed about progressive metal is every progressive metal band chooses a different collection of things to add to metal, and like none of the metal bands sound the same. You know, none of the progressive metal bands pick the same thing. So I found that to be kind of interesting, but also kind of difficult when it comes to booking, right? Like, who do we even sound alike? You know.
Right. And I said all that to say you guys straddle that pretty well, because I made it through the record and I was like, wow, I can dig this. I can listen to it. So there's a lot of effort in less is more, right?
Yeah, it's for my guitar parts specifically. I have no problem saying I'm a skilled player, and I like to be challenged too. So when I'm writing parts, the challenge for me is to write stuff that is above, maybe like a tick above my current playing ability. But to the casual listener, I still want it to be, in broad strokes, like hooky, or something that they can remember, something that they would enjoy listening to, and not just a flex of notes and flashy, whatevers. And I think that extends to the music as a whole. If you were to pull up a chart of one of our songs, you'd see all these time changes and key change, all of this stuff that to a trained musician, they would be like, oh, wow, look at what these guys are doing. But we only do that. We make those decisions because we feel the song calls for it. So once again, we still want a piece that's so musically rich to resonate with an ultra casual listener, someone like yourself who wouldn't listen to prog, music and still be drawn to what it is we're doing.
That makes sense, and it works. Just for the record, from my little point of view, it works because I listen to it and wow, I like it.
So excellent.
Yeah. So no, that's great. Let's see. Where was is this your heavy? I went back and did a little bit of listening. Is this your heaviest release to date, you think?
What do you think?
I don't think heaviest. I think most diverse, I think, because there's more like techniques and moods and pacings and stuff available than the other albums, I think. But there's also a lot of variety in the other. It's kind of hard to differentiate which one is which. They're all very separate.
Yeah, I feel like with Paleo, we had Odium, which was one of the heavy, songs.
Totality.
And Totality, yeah. And on this one, we had It Will Drown, which was, supposed to be this sort of drunken, like heavy thing, almost like, like you're on a boat and you're just, the boat's rocking and you're not really feeling too great. That was the kind of vibe we were going for with It Will Drown. And then also, what's called Shadow Consummation was also kind of more of wouldn't call it a doomy track, but it was more down tempo, maybe more on the thicker side. So
it's heavy, but it's more journey like.
Yeah, I think this album is easily the most refined and kind of focused, and all of we didn't put every single bonkers idea that we had into the music. There was some, a lot more sculpting involved. But I do feel like, from a mix standpoint, a lot of people have told me that, like, it sounds a lot heavier. You guys sound heavier. And I think that's a big part of the drums and, like the instrumentation. Exactly. The presentation of everything. I think that helps.
Like at times we do achieve the wall of sound that a lot of bands are going for,
Yeah, absolutely. How does Receptor evolve? Well, let me skip that one for a second. Let's do... With tracks like In Scissor, Chimeric, and In Dawn's Wake, exploring transformational and rebirth, what human or existential themes do you hear at the heart of Receptor?
Existential themes, you said? Well, I know a big one is like the earlier bits of the album are focused on sort of like a longing, and then that through that longing, there is some sort of, discovery, some sort of realization, which turns to obsession. And then from there, it turns into something much more sort of venomous. And through the second half of the album, you're kind of hearing the aftermath of those effects. And then In Dawn's Wake is, if it wasn't clear already, is sort of like the rebirth song. Like, okay, you've sort of ejected all of that. and we're going to emerge, and it's going to be on to what's next.
In a more complete way.
Yes.
How does that sense of drama then that you're creating, like in Dawn's Wake, translate into the studio experience?
That's a great question. Do you mean the writing process?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess this In Dawn's Wake is not unique compared to any of those songs because each one goes through a very, very vigorous and difficult writing process. I believe Weaponized was the only one on this album that was written very quickly, like maybe within the span of a couple of weeks. I had kind of figured out the
Probably
first draft.
4 or 5 days of work.
Yeah, but some of those songs, like Suffuse, for example, I had to stop work on that because I couldn't figure out what to do with it. I had the first maybe 30, 40 seconds of it done, and I truly could not figure out what to do, and I had to step away from it.
That song had some of the most words about the concept, about what we're going for in the song before we wrote the song.
Oh, really?
So that could be like sensory overload when you're writing the music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have all of this to try to achieve and make you see when you're hearing it, and it's like,
yeah, that was that obsession, that
your intro, you probably had what, 5 or 6 different intro ideas because of how you wanted like it to be atmospherically.
Yeah, so yeah, there were all these radically different versions of it, and of course I'm always like, this is the one. No, this is the one.
Well, you sleep on it, and you're like, no, this one.
Yeah. But yes, the writing process overall for each song is very, very arduous, very involved. We have an initial meeting, the whole band, when we're planning any sort of new release, like an album or whatever, and we roughly plan out the track list, and we plan out the sort of curves of the album. What's going to be what? Is this song going to be kind of fast? This one going to be kind of slow? So we get specific, but like broad specific, and then that's where when I try to write the album linearly. So I try to track 1, get that done, and then go.
Oh, really? So you don't go back in sequence later on?
No, I try not to, but I had to with Suffuse because months were going by, and I was like, I need to move on. I can't have nothing happening for this song. But yeah, historically we try to do it all linearly, and then that kind of works for us. I've spoken to other musicians who, if they're coming to me about producing their album, they tell me, oh, well, I'm going to try to write, I don't know, like 15 songs, and then we'll pick like the 10 best. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't work that way because it's like the 10 that I've written that's the album. And there is no, afterthoughts that just get tossed.
So you mentioned that some of these songs are arduous to write. I mean, are we talking about like the 8-minute or over 8-minute in Dawn's Wake? I mean, that's a long...
That one, to be honest, I don't remember. I feel like because once I'm about 40% into the album, I'm warmed up, and things are usually coming out much quicker then. I don't feel like that one was all that difficult, but I will say the difficult thing about that song was we wanted an epic on this album, and we wanted it to have no downtime. We didn't want like an Opeth epic where there's a 3-minute acoustic strummed interlude. We didn't want any of that. We wanted everything to retain the energy, keep the pulse
pushing
up. Yeah, exactly. And then still end up with a decent runtime.
And even when it changes dramatically, it's just like the rhythms change, but it's still pushing.
Right. So yeah, there's it starts with one feel, and then like the second half is kind of rhythmically different, but there's no tempo changes or anything in that.
The tempo changes.
Yeah, right. It just goes from sort of a straight to a triplet thing. But no, I don't think that one was more or less arduous than the other ones. Chimeric, like you said, that's just, it was supposed to be a sort of a showcase of David's vocal, so there's not much else there. But that was still challenging in itself. Finding what's gonna keep the listener engaged on a song like this, where they're used to hearing something like Receptor from us or In Dawn's Wake.
It's also a big challenge in the world because most people have a 30-second attention span nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you sit down and you look. I'm old school, and I'm all about old Queensryche albums or whatever that went that long. But
Albums in general.
my kids are not at all, so it's kind of interesting that you did that. But I applaud it as well because it's needed. Does that make sense? Did I make any sense there?
Oh,
Of course,
absolutely.
and we're writing albums for people like you. We're well aware of the.
We're people like you.
Yeah, we love the album, like the
We
idea of
grew
the
up in those
album.
times.
Having something that has depth and not just so much of the popular metal music or music of any genre is just the same stuff over and over again. It's this worked for this band, so we want to do what worked for them. It's like, well, great. Now you're just gonna
A
fall
cycle
into
of
the
things being derivative.
the funnel of mediocrity, the funnel of derivation. So we're much more interested in like, okay, what can we do? What can we do that hasn't been done to the best of our abilities? Try to do something that sounds fresh and is still album length.
So I'm gonna ask you one more. Then I've got a couple out of the box questions to close this out, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So let's start here. Any tour plans? Are you taking this out on the road at all?
We are in 2026. We are looking to do a mini tour. So something maybe 3 to 5 dates to start. We're playing with some festival talks for 2026 and 2027. So there might be some of that. And then we're open to tours if the right opportunity comes along. But we're not waiting around for that. So we're going to be going out on the road ourselves and do some headline type stuff in the some big U.S. cities.
Oh, good. All right, you ready? Let's play out of the box for a minute.
All right.
If Receptor were a futuristic neural implant, what emotion, memory, or dream would you want to amplify or erase?
That's you.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Probably memories of probably memory of victory. So I can forget all the other stuff and focus on success.
The wins.
Yes.
Okay.
Under the gun. I never thought of something like that.
Imagine Dissona teaming up with a sci-fi director to turn Receptor into a film. Which track would you choose as a cinematic climax?
Climax. It's either going to be Incisor or Weaponized, I feel like would be.
I would say In Dawn's Awake because then it leads you to wonder how you got there.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's the second trilogy. Now we have to make the prequels.
All right.
And not George Lucas, it's Ridley Scott.
Right. And let's see, one more if you don't mind. If each song on Receptor could open a doorway to another dimension of the human mind, which track would you dare to step into first and why?
Oh, that is interesting. I'd like to see. I'd like to see what Weaponized looks like. That would be an interesting one. Aren't you?
I'd say Suffuse.
Suffuse? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's my favorite track for sure. So, and how visual it is would make me want to experience that for sure.
Speaking of visual, I mean, assuming you didn't have, I know there's budgets and everybody's got work and family and life, but if you didn't have a budget, this could be a pretty cinematic visual stage production, right?
1000%. Yeah. It's when we talked about, doing music videos, we used to say we can't do a music video because it would be impossible to get the visuals to match up properly with the music we're creating.
Expensive.
So yeah, we've sort of tempered that down over the years, but we completely agree that this would make just a very visually lush kind of experience if it were, attainable.
Is that something that spins in your head while you're writing?
Going back to the writing process, yes. Visuals are a big part of my inspiration. So,
where a lot of it begins.
Yeah, that I like finding the right visuals is a challenge. Sometimes I don't, but if I can, then it can help quite a bit.
But specifically for the Receptor's album, all of the meetings were very visual.
Yeah, that's a big part of that initial meeting we talked about. Like usually David has a whole folder of stuff, like, and this one could have something like this, and this, like, he shows us things, which of course helps. So visuals in general are a big part of the experience for us.
So when you say he shows you things, you mean like pictures and ideas, that kind of thing?
He may have sketches because he is an artist. He may have sketches. He may have found stuff like on Google Images or whatever that he's collected. He's got actual physical sculpture that he's designed for this album that you may or may not see later. It's all over the place, but it's all very, very helpful.
So heavy visual in the writing process.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it comes across like when you listen to it, in full, I think it definitely comes across as a journey or a cinematic sort of ebb and flow kind of thing.
That's exactly what we're going for. So there's absolutely a specific emotional and energetic curve to the whole thing. We're not just writing, hey, we did this song, let's splat this one on there. No, it's very like, it's a cinematic curve, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, I get that.
We appreciate that.
Did I miss anything you want to cover? Because that brings me to the end, even though I know I went down a rabbit hole with some off the wall.
Great questions. Is anything?
Not really. This album was definitely the most difficult music I've probably ever recorded in my life. That's probably every album for us is the most difficult thing that we're working on.
Right.
So how are you going to play it live then? Do you worry about that?
Well,
you got to relearn those songs?
We actually we played a sort of a secret underground show in mid-August, and so that's actually going to all be being released on YouTube in most likely November. So there'll be a full concert, pro shot concert from us, and we play 3 songs from here and then 2 others from other releases. So it was a good time. But yes, it was very, very difficult to get this stuff under the fingers and feet and everything initially.
All right, so one more. I know I said I was out, but do you find you've done too much in the studio sometimes? You're like, shit, I'm not going to be able to do that live? And if so, do you leave it or take it out?
That's a great question. I usually tend to find that with the layering, not so much my guitar parts. I have experienced that with guitar parts where, like, I'm overplaying this, and the amount of detail I'm cramming into, like this chord, for example. It's like no one in the audience is going to hear that except for me. So it's either I trim it down to just 2 notes and get the point across, or I play the full voicing for myself. So stuff like that. But when I'm doing the layering, the extra instruments, that's where I'm usually like, okay, let's feel how small the band has gotten now. Like, do we really need all this, or can I, once again, can I get the same sort of point across with less? So someone labeled our music maximalist, which I totally agree with. That's a great descriptor, but I am very also at the same time trying to do as much as I can with as little as I can. So it's tricky.
So that brings me like all the way back to my first question, right? I think there's an art form and a certain thing that you guys applied to this where you didn't just like throw 400 notes into 2 frets or whatever. I think I know that just didn't make sense, into 2 measures or whatever, but
I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah. That's absolutely it, though. It's very responsible music, I guess you could say. It might sound irresponsible, but at times, but we're very much like, maximize it, but make sure you can play it. Make sure you can actually play this and have it sound this good live, and then also
context is so important. Like if you're gonna play a million notes in a measure or 2, you can't be juxtaposing all those other measures of the million notes. You have to make it cool. Right. By having some separation.
That's the contrast is huge.
And that is why I started off the conversation saying, don't be offended, I'm not a prog fan, because a lot of it is just like you said.
Riff
I get you went to Berkeley and you can play, but the songs suffer from, maybe you should have throttled it here or something.
I think that's the biggest kind of crutch with prog is like, is this going to be an assault of notes? Is this going to be every other measure is a key change or a modulation or all this weird stuff that you learned at school. But like, do we really need to apply it all the time? Because you're creating music that's actually pretty alienating. Like, I'm not getting any sort of emotional resonation from it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir, right?
And I will say, like, when it comes to my drum parts and preparing to drum any Dissona music, one of my biggest inspirations, beside my own like interests and favorite drummers and all that, is Matt's writing. So like, he comes up with a lot of drum parts that are like kind of unnatural to play and sometimes not even possible. But like, I'm inspired by that, and he actually like makes me set up my drums differently to fit in like a sound here, a sound there that I wouldn't even been deciding. So like, I feel very selfless with these songs because like, I'm not even in control of my own setup sometimes, and like, but that also makes me learn a lot. Like, it's really fun to have to like think about those things. And if we're gonna play a show with songs from various eras of our existence, which is like over 16 years now, then like, I have to really think about how I'm gonna set my stuff up, because like, I've been using very dramatically different setups every single album. And like, it's mainly Matt's fault, but also I really like that.
I always tell Drew, I'm like, here's what I got for the drums, but make them your own, make them human. And sometimes he will, and sometimes he'll say, you know what? No, I'm going to play that because it's awesome, and no other drummer would think to play that way. Yeah. Like, all right, whatever.
All right, so I've got like 3 minutes to my next one. Really off the wall questions. You ready?
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
It has to be.
Yes. Yeah, it's meat between two pieces of bread.
Hold on. What would be your issue of it not being a sandwich?
Because if I order a hot dog, I'm thinking of Chicago hot dog, and I don't want a sandwich. I don't want an Italian beef.
But okay, what about Italian beef, which is labeled a sandwich? That's a hot dog just shredded. It's the same construction.
Hold on 1 second. Is that really what an Italian beef is?
No, but I'm just saying an Italian beef.
I watched that whole show, the Bear, and that's all they talk about.
Yeah, they I think they're mocking. They're either trying to make it look like they filmed it in Chicago or they did film it in Chicago. But yeah, an Italian beef, it's still in like a single piece of bread that's been sliced, so it's not two separate pieces of bread, which some people would say is what makes it a sandwich.
Wait, is your hang up then that little piece of bread that's holding the two halves together?
Oh, what's the hang up?
Yeah, it's the shape. It's too specific. I'm trying to give it its identity away from the sandwich.
Cereal a soup?
No.
It used to be.
It's not cooked.
It's not cooked.
So neither is borscht or any of those some of those, European cold soups.
Cold soup?
Yeah. There's another one too I'm missing.
It might be a soup.
Gazpacho, one of those is cold too, with the dollop of sour cream sitting on top.
Is it the broth or the vegetables that are missing that makes cereal not a soup?
It has to be a soup.
Is it the?
I'm gonna completely disagree. All right, last one.
Yep.
You're in a grocery store. What are the 3 strangest things you could purchase that would make the cashier the most uncomfortable?
Tampons.
No. You need lube.
Lube first, yeah.
A Bible.
And a big cucumber.
No. And a stopwatch. Because that implies urgency for something.
It's
got to be lubricated, and the Lord is involved. And it's got to be quick.
That's good.
All right, I know I said 3, but one more. You're stranded on a deserted island. Assuming you've got some sort of solar power, whatever the hell you got. 3 songs for eternity. What do you got?
Oh, shit.
Well, not songs, albums. Let's do albums.
Still Life, Cynic Traced in Air, and what do I listen to all the time? I think Obsequiae, Palms of Sorrowed Kings. I think that's the one. Yeah.
Mine would be Avishai Cohen, Gently Disturbed. It's jazz. Probably Paul Simon, Graceland. And I don't know, probably Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and piss off everybody who hates the Chili Peppers, which is abundant in the metal.
I think that might have been, and it's just my opinion, their last really, really, really good album.
I'd probably agree with that, yeah.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
When we started getting into Danny California and all the other stuff, I couldn't do it anymore.
I don't even know which CD is which on that one.
No, and I don't even know what they do anymore because I immediately turn off the porn stash dude as soon as I
Sorry, Smith. I grew up listening to you, so I'm sorry I'm talking shit about you also. Actually, to redeem myself, my first drum instructional tape was the Chad Smith Red Hot Rhythm Method, and it was a great tape. And he does a lot of the music from Blood Sugar Sex Magic, so like that was probably why it has such a nice place in my heart, you know.
Awesome. I know I was everywhere, but we talked a lot. I like to chat and have some fun. Thank you for taking the time.
Blast. Yeah.